Since the dawn of aviation, there have been mysterious disappearances that have left the world confused. From planes that simply vanish without a trace to those found in the most bizarre circumstances, these cases challenge our understanding of reality. What is behind these vanished aircraft, and why have they never been found? This investigation goes deeper into the truth that just might unlock Pandora's box. First Malaysian flight MH370. In March 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 disappeared without warning during a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, carrying 239 passengers and crew. Despite nearly a decade of investigation, the mystery of what happened to the flight has never been solved. Eventually, Malaysia announced plans to resume the search, reigniting global interest. At the same time, renewed focus on strange details like glowing orbs, mysterious drones, and advanced technology has pushed theories about MH370 back into the spotlight. One of the most discussed ideas involves the passengers on board. Among them were 20 scientists, reportedly linked to groundbreaking research in areas like military technology or energy systems. This theory suggests their work, possibly related to suppressed free energy technology or UFO-linked advancements, may explain why the plane's course changed so dramatically. Military radar showed the aircraft veering westward, far off its original path, toward the Indian Ocean before it disappeared. Investigators believe someone with aviation expertise likely controlled the plane, whether that was the pilot or a potential hijacker. Adding to the mystery are unverified videos that have circulated online. One particular video allegedly captures glowing orbs circling a plane before it vanishes in a bright flash. While skeptics dismiss the footage as CGI, some viewers argue it could depict classified technology or even extraterrestrial involvement. Compounding these theories are strange reports from the early days of the disappearance. Families of passengers reported phone calls ringing through long after the plane disappeared. Others shared details of an encrypted voicemail that included the cryptic message, "They are not human. SOS, danger." Amateur investigators, determined to uncover the truth, have spent years analyzing radar data, satellite images, and debris reports. Some have pointed to possible evidence of government cover-ups, including theories about military tests, plasma-like drones, or secret autonomous flight technology. Other strange clues have emerged over time, such as QR codes supposedly linked to hidden messages and cryptic transmissions that keep conspiracy discussions alive in online forums. Malaysia's renewed commitment to finding MH370 coincides with a rise in worldwide reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. To some, this is more than coincidence. They argue that the disappearance might be tied to the same advanced or undisclosed technology often associated with UAP sightings. To others, this connection feels like fuel for wild theories rather than grounded evidence. While debates and speculation continue, the personal side of the tragedy remains powerful. The families of the 239 passengers and crew have spent nearly 10 years searching for closure and answers. For them, MH370 is more than just a mystery. It's an open wound. Despite the resurgence of conspiracy theories and elaborate explanations, the most pressing questions remain unanswered. Efforts to find MH370 reflect how little is truly known, not just about its fate, but about the potentially hidden technologies or circumstances that might have played a role in its disappearance. 2. Lars Mittank. On June 30th, 2008, Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German man, went on vacation with friends to Varna, Bulgaria. They stayed at the luxurious Viva Hotel at the Golden Sands Resort, a vibrant beachside destination teeming with tourists. For several days, their trip was smooth sailing, filled with laughter, beaches, and nightlife. But on one fateful night, everything changed. While at a bar, Lars and his friends got into a heated but non-violent argument with other German tourists about football. Later, they left to grab food at McDonald's. Somehow, Lars got separated from the group and didn't return to the hotel that night. When he reappeared the next morning, he was bruised, with a swollen jaw and severe pain in his ear. He claimed he'd been attacked by men hired by the tourists they had argued with. Concerned, his friends took him to a local hospital. Doctors found his eardrum had ruptured. They offered surgery but recommended antibiotics and rest instead, explaining he couldn't fly until his condition improved. Lars urged his friends to fly back as planned, assuring them he'd manage alone. Reluctantly, they left. Lars checked out of the Viva Hotel and sought cheaper accommodation. He ended up at the rundown Hotel Color near the airport. That night, his behavior became erratic. Surveillance footage captured him, pacing and leaving the hotel, returning visibly frightened. He called his mother, claiming he was being followed by people who wanted to kill him, and begged her to cancel his credit cards. In the early hours of July 8th, Lars took a taxi to the airport. Initially calm, he entered the medical center seeking clearance to fly. But when a construction worker entered the office, Lars panicked, shouted that he didn't want to die, and bolted. Dropping his belongings, he ran through the airport, scaled a barbed wire fence, and disappeared into a nearby sunflower field. Despite extensive searches and global attention, Lars was never seen again. Was he suffering from paranoia or truly in danger? Theories range from a head injury-induced psychosis to foul play tied to Bulgaria's organ trade. Yet, his fate remains a haunting question, with no answers. 3rd DB Cooper. On November 24, 1971, Thanksgiving Eve, a man wearing a business suit boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305 in Portland. He bought a ticket under the name Dan Cooper, though the media later incorrectly called him DB Cooper, a nickname that stuck. Shortly after the plane took off, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. The note said he had a bomb in his briefcase. To back up his claim, he opened the case, showing wires, dynamite, and a battery. He calmly demanded $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck ready in Seattle. Authorities quickly agreed. When the plane landed in Seattle, the passengers, unaware of what was happening, were allowed to leave. Cooper collected the ransom, kept the crew on board, and ordered the plane to take off again, heading for Mexico City. He told the crew to fly low and slow. He had specific instructions: fly at 10,000 feet and below to avoid the high-tech radar at the time, a plan that showed how carefully he'd thought this through. Somewhere over the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, Cooper made his move. He lowered the rear staircase, strapped on a parachute, and jumped into the night with the cash. Witnesses on the plane later said they heard a faint noise coming from the rear stairs, but by the time they realized what happened, Cooper had vanished. When the plane landed hours later, Cooper was gone. His parachute, the ransom money, and any trace of him were all missing. The FBI launched an enormous search, with agents scouring the vast wilderness of Washington state. They interviewed hundreds of locals, ran dozens of leads, and even traced the serial numbers on the stolen bills. But nothing led them to him. In 1980, a breakthrough came, or so it seemed. A young boy found $6,000 of the ransom money buried along a riverbank. But the discovery only deepened the mystery. Was Cooper dead, his money abandoned, or was it planted evidence? For decades, theories about Cooper's fate have run wild. Did he survive the dangerous jump, managing to hide or escape into the wilderness? Was he a brilliant thief who calculated everything just right? Did he die after making the jump into the unknown, or is he living quietly under an assumed name? No one knows for sure. In 2016, the FBI officially closed the case, admitting it would probably never be solved. Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was a trailblazer in aviation and an enduring symbol of courage and determination. She broke barriers as the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in 1932 and inspired countless others with her fearless attitude toward flying. By 1937, she had set her sights on an even greater challenge, becoming the first person to circumnavigate the globe by airplane, cementing her status as a pioneer in her field. But what was meant to be her crowning achievement turned into one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. On July 2, 1937, Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, were flying over the Pacific Ocean near Howland Island on the final leg of their ambitious journey. Flying in a Lockheed Electra, the duo had successfully completed most of the trip and were on track to achieve their goal. But things began to go wrong as they approached Howland Island. Poor weather, navigational errors, and communication difficulties created confusion, with Earhart's final radio message stating they were running low on gas. Shortly after, their plane vanished without a trace. Despite a massive search effort, the largest of its kind at the time, No wreckage or remains were ever recovered. The prevailing theory is that the plane ran out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. However, with no conclusive evidence, this explanation leaves much to be desired, giving rise to numerous alternative theories over the years. One widely debated possibility suggests Earhart and Noonan crash-landed on Nikumaroro, a remote atoll in the Pacific. Researchers have uncovered artifacts on the island, including tools and what might be a piece of her plane. However, these findings remain speculative. Another idea posits that the pair may have been captured by Japanese forces and died in custody, though no credible records support this scenario. Theories get even stranger. Some believe their disappearance was caused by extraterrestrial abduction, pointing to unexplained radio anomalies in her final transmissions. Others suggest the flight may have encountered advanced alien technology in an area tied to UFO sightings. Another claim ties the incident to secret military experiments, where unknown forces might have removed the plane during testing. To this day, her plane is missing, and there's no concrete evidence of her being found. 5. Brian Schaffer, April 1st. 2006 started like any other celebration for Brian Schaffer. It was the beginning of spring break, and he had just wrapped up exams at Ohio State University. To mark the occasion, Brian had dinner with his father, Randy, and his younger brother, Derek. Later that evening, he joined his close friend, William Clint Florence, for a night of bar hopping around Columbus, Ohio. At approximately 9 p.m., Brian and Clint began visiting several popular bars in the city, including establishments in the Arena District and Short North. While at one of the bars, they ran into Clint's friend, Meredith Reed. Meredith offered the pair a ride back to their starting point, the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a bar near Ohio State University that was a regular hangout for Brian and his friends. Security footage confirmed all three arriving at the bar around 1:15 a.m. As the evening progressed, the group enjoyed their time at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, but at some point near 2 a.m., Brian stepped outside the bar. Surveillance footage showed him briefly talking to two women before waving goodbye and heading back inside. That was the last confirmed sighting of Brian Schaffer. By 2:30 a.m., the bar was closing, and Clint and Meredith began looking for Brian. They searched inside the bar's single room and checked the bathroom, but there was no sign of him. Assuming Brian may have left on his own to walk the short distance home, they also left, unaware that Brian would not be seen again. The next day, when Brian failed to respond to calls or texts, friends and family began to worry. Alexis Wagoner, Brian's girlfriend, became increasingly concerned as he also didn't show up for their planned trip to Florida on Monday. She alerted his father, Randy, who immediately filed a missing person report. In the days following, a citywide search for Brian began. Police reviewed all available security footage and confirmed that while Brian was seen entering the Ugly Tuna Saloona, he was never captured leaving. The bar had only one public entrance and exit, raising perplexing questions. The only alternative exit led through a construction zone and was not a practical route. Despite exhaustive efforts by police and volunteers, Brian was never found. 6th Mary Celeste. On November 7, 1872, Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs, his wife Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia boarded the Mary Celeste in New York. The brigantine, a sturdy 2-masted merchant vessel, was fully stocked for its voyage to Genoa, Italy. The ship carried over 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol in its cargo hold, and 6 months' worth of food and water for the crew. Captain Briggs, a seasoned sailor with years of experience, had carefully selected his crew of 7, ensuring they were trustworthy and skilled. Everything about this journey seemed routine, and there was no reason to suspect the trouble that lay ahead. Nearly a month after the Mary Celeste set sail, on December 5, 1872, Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia spotted the ship drifting in the mid-Atlantic. Morehouse, a friend of Briggs, found it strange that the two vessels were in such close proximity. The Dei Gratia had departed 8 days later, and they should not have crossed paths. Morehouse immediately sensed something was wrong and ordered his men to investigate. When Morehouse's crew boarded the Mary Celeste, they were met with an eerie scene. The ship was completely abandoned, the food stores were untouched, 6 months' provisions remained, and the cargo hold of alcohol barrels was mostly intact. There was no sign of violence or a struggle. It was as if the 10 people aboard had vanished into thin air. The ship's logbook, discovered in the captain's quarters, revealed that the last recorded position of the Mary Celeste was around 500 miles from where it was found. This entry was dated 9 days earlier, suggesting the ship had been adrift for some time. Theories about what had happened to the crew began to circulate almost immediately. Piracy was a leading suggestion at first, but the absence of theft or damage ruled that out. Some speculated that fumes from the alcohol might have caused an explosion scare, prompting the crew to abandon ship in the lifeboat. However, the ship was undamaged, and the lifeboat and crew were never seen again. 7. Rebecca Coriam. Rebecca Coriam was a 24-year-old from Chester, England. Known for her bright personality and love for travel, she was adventurous, compassionate, and passionate about working with children, which led her to a job aboard the Disney Wonder cruise ship as part of the youth services team. Rebecca had studied sports science at Plymouth University and pursued adventure through work in the British Army, Cadets, and Camp America programs before joining Disney. Her dream job allowed her to combine her love for people, travel, and new experiences. On March 21, 2011, Rebecca failed to show up for her shift aboard the Disney Wonder. The ship was sailing off the coast of Mexico, and her absence immediately raised alarm among her colleagues. A thorough search of the ship began, but Rebecca was nowhere to be found. The last confirmed sighting of Rebecca was captured on the ship's CCTV cameras at 5:45 a.m. that same morning. The footage showed her speaking on an internal phone in a crew-only area. She appeared emotionally distressed during the call, visibly upset but composed. After hanging up, she was not seen again. Her actions raised concerns but provided no answers about her whereabouts. When Rebecca failed to reappear, a formal search was launched. Both the ship and the surrounding waters were scoured, but no evidence or sign of her was found. Investigators suggested she might have fallen overboard, though details about how or why were unclear. Crucially, the lack of sufficient onboard safeguards or physical evidence made it difficult to rule out other possibilities, including foul play. Rebecca's family became deeply involved in efforts to uncover what had happened, expressing frustration with the investigation's handling. They questioned the cruise line's transparency and felt that critical questions were left unanswered. To this day, Rebecca Coriam's disappearance remains unsolved. Despite investigations by Bahamian authorities, since the ship was registered in the Bahamas, and ongoing public interest, no concrete answers have emerged. Her family continues to advocate for her case, determined to find the truth behind Rebecca's tragic and mysterious disappearance. 8. Andrew Gosden. Andrew Gosden was a quiet, intelligent 14-year-old boy from Doncaster, England. He lived a seemingly typical life with his family and attended school regularly, excelling academically. However, on September 14, 2007, Andrew's routine took a shocking turn. That morning, Andrew left home as if heading to school, but returned shortly after his parents had gone to work. He changed out of his uniform, put on casual clothes, and took £200, nearly all the money he had, from his bank account. He then purchased a one-way train ticket to London from Doncaster Station, and was later captured on CCTV, arriving at King's Cross Station at around 11:20 a.m. This was the last confirmed sighting of him. His family only discovered Andrew was missing that evening when he failed to come home for dinner. They initially believed he might have had an issue at school, but were soon overwhelmed with concern when they realized he had not attended classes at all. The police were contacted, and investigations uncovered his deliberate trip to London, sparking a nationwide search. Despite thorough searches, Andrew was not seen or heard from again after leaving King's Cross. Numerous theories have emerged over the years, including the possibility that Andrew went to London to attend a concert or meet someone connected to his interests. Investigators explored every lead with several dead ends. In December 2021, there was renewed attention when two individuals were arrested in connection to the case, but no charges were brought, and their involvement was ruled out. 9. Dyatlov Pass Incident. On February 1, 1959, 9 skilled hikers, led by Igor Dyatlov, embarked on an ambitious trek through the Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia, aiming for Otorten Mountain. Days later, they mysteriously vanished. Search teams eventually located their campsite on February 26th, uncovering a tent that had been slashed open from the inside, as though they had fled in panic. Scattered across the snow-covered wilderness, their bodies were found over the following weeks, revealing unsettling details. 2 hikers were missing their eyes, and 1 had their tongue removed. Several others showed severe internal injuries, such as fractured ribs and skulls, comparable to the impact of a car crash. Strangely, there were no external wounds to explain the trauma. Adding to the mystery, some were barefoot and barely dressed, despite the sub-zero temperatures. The Soviet authorities provided no conclusive explanation, suggesting theories ranging from an avalanche to military experiments. However, the evidence didn't align with natural causes. To this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains an unsolved mystery, fueling speculation about supernatural forces, extraterrestrial encounters, or a secret government cover-up. Whatever happened that fateful night, the bizarre injuries and eerie details continue to captivate investigators and conspiracy theorists worldwide. But in some mysterious cases, the people are found, but there are still no answers. Cessna 206. On May 1, 2023, tragedy struck when a Cessna 206 carrying 7 people crashed deep in the Colombian Amazon. The plane, en route from Araraquara to San Jose del Guaviare, experienced engine failure shortly after takeoff, sending it plummeting into dense, unforgiving jungle terrain. The crash claimed the lives of the pilot, co-pilot, 3 adult passengers, including Magdalena Mucutui, mother to 4 children aboard, and left the remaining survivors alone in one of the world's harshest environments. Leslie, 13, Soleini, 9, Tien, 4, and Kristen, just a year old, faced 40 grueling days in the jungle. Rescuers found clues such as footprints, makeshift shelters, and even a diaper, signs that the children were moving. When the children were discovered alive on June 9, 2023, 5.3 miles from the crash site, the news was met with both joy and disbelief. Malnourished and weak, their survival in such conditions was nothing short of extraordinary. The siblings later revealed that their mother lived for 2 days after the crash, urging them to leave and save themselves. Taking on a maternal role, Leslie led her siblings, relying on indigenous survival skills to find fruits and seeds while evading poisonous snakes, jaguars, and relentless rain. Yet, questions persist. Some skeptics suggest their survival defies explanation, weaving an extraordinary theory. The children weren't truly alone. Rumors claim they were taken by otherworldly beings who fed them, shielded them, and possibly prevented rescuers from finding them sooner. According to the theory, the family dog, Wilson, traded his life to help bring the children back, sealing a pact of secrecy. For now, such ideas remain speculative, leaving the world to marvel at a survival story that borders on the unbelievable. Whether guided by skill, pure luck, or something more mysterious, the children's 40-day ordeal in the Amazon stands as one of the most mysterious and miraculous events in recent history. What do you think happened to the missing people?